If you own an investment property, you absolutely need to know the answer to this question because it is critical for every decision you make on that property from this point forward. What's that question? Here we go. The question is, how long do I plan being the key word, how long do I plan to keep this property? Now I know life changes, for example, this year, at the start of COVID, you might have had a plan to keep the property for X years. That may have shortened, it may have lengthened, but you still need to have an idea and plan accordingly, and let me show you why. There's an old saying that says if someone stops and asks for directions but they don't know where they're going, it doesn't matter what direction you head in until you get to somewhere you don't want to be. So take all that in context when I say what's your plans for the property, how long are you going to keep it. See, at Rouse Realty, we really look at your property as an asset and how to increase the value of that. Not just the capital value, but what can we do to increase the rental value. So we're constantly analyzing the properties we have under management to try and increase not just the rental value, but the long-term capital value of the property. So whether you're selling in 1, 3, 5, 10 or 15 or 20 years, the property will increase in its rental value, but it will also increase in its capital value. So again, this is looking at the long game, not just looking at the short game and collecting rent every month. Now, that all being said, if you say to me, well, Daryl, we're never going to sell the property, and you're very clear on that, meaning that there'll be no situation in the future, 5, 10, 15 years, that will force you to sell the property, then in that case, you're creating this asset to pass on to someone else. It may be your children, it may be a family member, it may be someone else. But again, the objective is always, and I don't know any investor that ever buys a property for it not to increase in value, both from a rental perspective and a sales perspective. So even if you say, I'm not selling, it's still an asset that we want to increase the value of in the long run. Now, let me put all that in a practical example for you. If you say to me, hey, Daryl, we're going to sell in 10 years' time, and I look at the kitchen in that house now, and that kitchen is close to the end of its life, but it's got a few more years left in it, I won't say start doing things on the kitchen immediately, but I'll probably suggest about the 5-year mark, you do some sort of freshen up. It may be minor, it may be cosmetic, maybe refacing cabinets, or it may be more than that. But you don't want to do that kitchen too early because then in 10 years, it may be dated again. So again, a lot of timing goes into this. I've owned income property now for well over 34 or 35 years. So I'm speaking from my own personal experience on what I've done with my properties to increase the rental value and the sales value of them. Another example is if you have a very bare property vegetation-wise, I may suggest if you're going to sell in, say, 5 years' time or even 2 years' time, to start to plant out with some more type of trees or bushes that will mature over time. The sooner you do that, the cheaper it is. It's more expensive to buy mature plants and trees than what it is for smaller plants and trees. So we may suggest that. Same as if the backyard or the front yard gets beat up by the western sun, we may suggest planting trees to create shade. So if you do have to sell in summertime, the buyer or potential buyer will see that it's nice and shady. My house that I live in actually faces west, and so we've created the front of the house with a lot of shade long term. Now, we have no plans on selling, but our kids will take it over, but that will help the property if it ever becomes a rental property. So again, these are the sort of things that your property manager, if they're overseeing that asset for you and they want to develop that asset, these are things that they should be looking at as we do for our clients. And I'll give you one more example, but there's lots and lots and lots of examples. Again, what we do at Rouse Realty is when we take on a management, one of the things we do, and sometimes at the request of our client, is we do this analysis. So if you're currently under management and you like this done, just give me a call. If you'd like it done on your property, regardless, even if we're not managing it, give us a call and I'm sure we can help you. So the one final example, which I just realized I didn't say last time, is a lot of properties, especially in the newer areas that we sell in, have the master bedroom in the front of the house. Now, some people like that, some people don't, but the issue becomes privacy from the street. So if you open up your blinds, people get to see what you look like first thing in the morning. May not be a good thing. So we might suggest creating some sort of screen at the front, whether it's some sort of wooden slats or whether it is actually a vegetation screen. So from the street, that front-facing bedroom on your property is screened, because there is a percentage of people that don't like properties with the bedroom in the front if it's just too open to the street. So again, that comes from our own experience. So At Rouse Realty, we really look at ourselves not as property management, but as asset equity developers. That's our job, to increase the rental value of your property and also increase the capital value of your property. So if you want that done on your property, or you're trying to make a decision which company to go with, that's one of our major differences. We look at the long game for real estate property management. That's it. Have a great week.